What up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Live Game Season 3, Episode 20. This is the Average Man's Perspective on Football. I'm your co-host, Marcus. Joining me on the panel tonight is Herman. Say what up, Herman.
Hey.
Next up, we got Brian. Say what up, Brian. And next up is Mark. Say what up, Mark.
Good evening.
Still laughing at that.
Say what?
Still laughing at that.
Yeah, that's funny. Before we get started, I want to encourage everyone to like, share, and subscribe, especially if you're watching us on YouTube. You can also catch us on Facebook in our Facebook group, The Live Game. We're also on Twitter at The Live Game 3. And you can also catch us on Instagram at the official The Lay of Game. So last weekend, we had the divisional games in the playoffs. And it was some great games. And Brian's hosting the show tonight. Go ahead, Brian, get us started.
All right, thanks everybody again for joining us this evening. Like Marcus said, we had some good games last week. Not as good as Wild Card Weekend, but a couple of them were pretty impressive. We're gonna start the show off like we normally do. Have a little bit of news of the week, which unfortunately this time we really don't have too much COVID information. Then we'll do our hot topic again. This scares me every time he does it, and then we'll do our picks for the week coming up. Talk about our picks and then do our next picks. So in the news of the week, the only real COVID issue we had was only COVID news this week is the NFL has changed its rules for head coaching interviews. The new rule allows potential head coaches candidates still in the playoffs the ability to interview for jobs virtually for up to 2 hours. In other news, we have two new minority general managers in the NFL. Two more teams have filled their general managers positions with minorities. The Lions have hired Brad Jones, and the Falcons have hired Terry Fontenot. There are now 4 minority NFL GMs in the NFL. In other news, the Sarah Thomas will be the first female referee to be named to the Super Bowl crew. Tuesday, the NFL announced that the NFL referee crew and Sarah Thomas was announced to be the down judge and will make history as the first female Super Bowl official. So congrats to you, Sarah Thomas. In other news, a few teams found their new NFL head coaches. The Lions hired Dan Campbell. The Jags hired Urban Meyer. The Chargers hired Brandon Staley. The Jets hired Robert Saleh. And the Falcons hired Arthur Smith. So congratulations, gentlemen, on your accomplishments and good luck in the future. Still wondering, when the main candidate is going to get a job. I'm fearing that he's actually going to get signed. He's going to get a coaching job with the Eagles, but that's just my fear. So
I never even thought about that one. Ooh.
Yeah.
And he actually coached there with Andy Reid too.
Oh, he did. What was he, the running backs coach then? Or?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They probably won't bring him back then.
I don't know. I mean, they brought back, all Andy Reid's old backs, so we'll see. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about hot topics. And the first hot topic we're going to talk about is Philip Rivers. He announced his retirement today. And, of course, when you announce a retirement, the question always arises, is Philip Rivers a Hall of Famer? Marcus had a little note that he's going to read for us first, and then we're going to go from there.
All right, so actually it's more than a little note, it's a little bit. So Rivers had 421 career touchdown passes, which ranks 5th in league history, and has a streak of 240 straight starts, which is second behind only Brett Favre among quarterbacks. Rivers has 12 4,000-yard passing seasons and finished his career with 63,440 passing yards, the 5th most in NFL history. He is 5-7 in the playoffs. From 2008 to 2010, he led the league in yards per pass attempt for 3 seasons in a row. He led his team to 9 winning seasons and has thrown for 4,000 yards 12 times. And also, since he became a full-time starter in 2006, Rivers threw for more yards than every quarterback but Drew Brees He's threw more touchdown passes, and his teams have won more of his starts than everyone except Brady and Breeze. He's had 4 top 3 QBR seasons, and comparing since he was in the same class as Roethlisberger, who he gets compared to a lot. Rivers has had a high completion rate, a high touchdown rate, higher yards per attempt, and almost identical interception rates, and a higher QB rating than Roethlisberger.
Okay.
Wow.
So I did a little information too. What I did was looked at Phillip Rivers' entire history, and then I picked another quarterback that may be a potential Hall of Famer in his same class. I didn't pick Roethlisberger. I picked Eli. And then the other thing I did is I went back and I looked at all the Hall of Famers in the NFL that didn't win a championship. So out of those, the closest comparison that I found was Dan Marino.
Of course.
So Rivers had, like Marcus said, 260. He played 216 total games, had 134 wins, 106 losses. Completion percentage was 64.9, 63,440 passing yards. He averaged 7.8 yards an attempt, had 421 touchdowns, 209 picks, and he played for 17 years. He was an 8-time Pro Bowler, but he was never on the all-decade team. He was never on any of the other criteria like that. His counterpart, Eli, only played 165 games. So we had 216 to 165. Eli run 117. Phillip run 134. Eli's completion percentage was 60%. Rivers was 64.9. Eli only threw for 57,023 yards. And like I said, Rivers threw for 63,440. Eli's completion percentage was only 7 compared to 7.8 for Rivers. Eli only threw for 366 touchdowns and 244 interceptions. So that's less touchdowns, more interceptions. He only played 16 years, and he was only 4-time Pro Bowl selection. Now, what is the kicker is Eli has what?
2 Super Bowl
rings.
Super Bowl rings. So does Ben.
And so does Ben, yeah.
Yeah, and they both were in that same 2004 draft. Now the last guy, Dan Marino, I guess we all know, he made it to 2 Super Bowls, or was it 1?
It was 1.
It was 1. Made it to 1, and was always the best, it seemed, at the league, but never got back there. He played 242 games, so he played more than Rivers. 147 wins, more than Rivers, 134. 93 losses, way less than the other two. His completion percentage was 59.4, but you remember back then they wasn't really throwing as much. It was a totally different league. 61,361 yards, so he's only like 2,000 or so under Rivers. 7.3 yards per attempt, so 0.3 yards, 0.5 yards lower than Rivers. He threw 420 touchdowns, only one less than Rivers. 252 picks, way more than Rivers, and he was a 9-time Pro Bowler. So do we all agree that Eli's a Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
Yes, with a caveat though. With a caveat.
Yeah.
He gets in there mainly because of his name. He's a Manny, and those 2 Super Bowl rings.
I gotta disagree with you. You beat Patriots in 2 Super Bowls. He deserved to be there.
I'm not saying he doesn't, but I think he gets more in there because of his name and who he is.
Two Super Bowl rings is pretty much almost 1 Super Bowl ring could be a guarantee, but 2 Super Bowl rings is almost a guarantee Hall of Fame.
And he beat the Patriots.
And he did, but he also was the press loved him, the name. It's all a combination of everything. But
he did do it in New York, which is tough.
And he did do it in New York. But 2 Super Bowl rings plus those stats, that's a guaranteed. He's a Hall of Famer first ballot.
I'm sorry, I did miss one big statistic on Eli. His record is 117 and 117.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's still I don't know if he's a first ballot, but he's getting in there.
He'll be I think he'll be a first ballot.
I agree. I think he'll be a first ballot also.
Because of the 2 rings. The 2 rings is going to cement that.
You think he would still make it without the 2 rings?
Yeah,
Maybe
looking at
one
these
ring?
numbers, he wouldn't be a first. He wouldn't be a first round. A first ballot, but he would make it.
I don't think he would have made it without the Super Bowls. I don't think he would have made it.
I think he would with those stats.
His stats aren't that great though. His stats really aren't good.
His win loss though is a little.
And his interception to touchdown ratio is very close. 366
Hey.
and 244.
Hey,
It might have
check
been
this out.
tighter.
Even though he played 17 seasons in the NFL, the first 2 years he played behind Breeze. He didn't start until 2006. He was drafted 2004, but he didn't start until 2006. So he really didn't start it. He didn't start calculating those numbers until 2 years old.
He's talking about Rivers,
right.
And
Eli
started playing right away. We know Ben did.
Eli started like I think halfway through the season.
Something like that.
But he played his first year, right? He did.
Yeah.
But yeah, it may be more debatable if he didn't have the 2 rings. I think he would still get in though because then he would get in more on maybe his name. But,
so if that's how you feel, then obviously Phillip Rivers is a Hall of Famer because his numbers are way better than Eli's, right?
Yes. Now, when we first said we were going to talk about this, at first I was thinking no, but now looking at his numbers and after the research, yeah, he's a Hall of Famer. He's not going to be a first ballot though. I don't think. I think first ballot should be reserved when it comes to quarterbacks. Should be reserved for Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. Honestly. I mean, you're a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You should at least get something else when you're going into the Hall of Fame.
Hold up, you saying you wouldn't have put Dan Marino in as first ballot?
Nope.
You're crazy.
Really?
He's considered one of the best.
I would put Jim Kelly in though, because he went to 4 Super Bowls and lost. So he went to 4 and lost. He would be a first ballot for me. But Dan Marino, he's a Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong, but no, he wouldn't be a first round Hall of Famer for me.
Okay.
First ballot.
Herman is shocking the fans too.
So the question is, Rivers. I think Rivers will be a Hall of Fame. I think he deserves to be there, but maybe not the first ballot. Maybe not. But hey, there's no other position they do this to. With quarter, you play offensive lineman. You be defense. You play cornerback.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many Super Bowls.
It doesn't matter if you don't make it to the Super Bowl.
It's all about stats.
You win the Super Bowl. It's all the quarterbacks are measured by the Super Bowl appearances and their wins.
That's
the most important position on the team. It's the most important position on the team.
It is.
It's the most important position in professional sports. Hey, I'm gonna take y'all back. That one year when they were playing the Patriots and they was in the AFC. What's that?
2007.
Okay, 2007, and they caught that interception, and Troy Brown forced that fumble, and they ended up winning that game. I think that would have turned the tide for them. They were ready to go to Super Bowl that year. That's the
year they played the Giants, right?
Who did the
Patriots?
The Patriots.
You think You think Phillip Rivers could have beat the Giants in that Super Bowl?
That was a chance to get there.
He's just saying he could have got there. He's not saying he could have got a ring.
So Marcus, you say he is a Hall of Famer, Marcus?
I also think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer too. He probably won't get it, but I think he should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, it'll have to be a slumming year that year for Hall of Famers. I think for him to get a first ballot.
Hey, but quarterbacks they don't keep them a backlash like they do the rest of the positions.
Not usually. Not usually.
So.
But there's less of them too. It's only one of them each per team. Where wide receivers and running backs, there's a bunch of them on teams. So.
Hey, real quick, can y'all guess that out of that class, the 2004 class, there's only 2 quarterbacks that's active this past year that played. Can you guys guess who those 2 players are?
Roethlisberger and Rivers.
Yeah, wait, I don't understand what you mean.
Rivers.
That hasn't retired yet.
You're saying one is still active.
2 are still active right now.
Now you mean?
Yeah.
Right today? Roethlisberger
and
Chad Henne.
Matt Schaub.
No, Schaub retired, didn't he? I thought he
was. He's a backup in Atlanta.
I thought he retired at the end of this year. I thought he retired.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear
anything about Schaub retiring. Yeah, but that year, that class, you had Eli, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Schaub went a little bit later down the round. You also had J.P. Losman,
which Bills moved up to pick
I
him.
remember JP.
And then Luke McCall was the quarterback that came out that year.
So, Mark, you agree he's first ballot Hall of Fame?
I may not. It depends on. Tell you what, it depends on who comes up when it's time for him to come in. But I think he gets. I think he get in there. He may not be first ballot, but I think he gets in there.
And another thing we have to remember is who he played for. I mean, basically for a long time, the Chargers were basically the Bengals of the West Coast.
Matt Schaub did retire.
He
retired.
did. Okay.
At the end of the season.
Okay.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah.
Okay.
And if Philip Rivers had been on some better run teams, he probably would have done. He probably would have put up better numbers. He put up some good numbers, but I think he probably would have been maybe in a Super Bowl. Maybe not have won it.
Oh, he would have. He would have been on the Giants. So think about what he would have did with the Giants.
That's true.
He would have had. He probably would have had. He might have had more Super Bowls. He might have had 3. Because if Eli won 2, and you look at the numbers, Philip Rivers would have won 2 if he was with the Giants.
So, so what if you put him on the Steelers? Would he still gotten 2 too?
Yeah,
absolutely.
The way the defense was playing, yeah, he'd have made it. And Bill Cowher loved him. His daughter, Bill Cowher's daughter, was at NC State at the time. Bill Cowher loved him. If he was on that post, if it was his card was, if his name was up at that time they draft, I think Steelers would have took Philip Rivers over Ben.
Yeah, I don't know. I look at his numbers and everything, but I guess the sticking points for me is that he was never an MVP of the league. Again, he was never voted on like all decade teams or any of those big statistics. You would think a quarterback of his stature would be on, in which the other quarterbacks have gotten. I mean, Dan Manning, he got an MVP in the Super Bowl. So, and he had a run. You can say this year Eli had this run. You can't really say that with Rivers. So, I don't know. He just seems more like
he did have some good seasons.
Statistician. He played a lot of games and he put up a lot of stats, but in the end, he just never could get his team over the hump for me. So
he's on San Diego all 50th anniversary team.
Thanks.
So you're saying he's not a Hall of Famer?
I don't think he is.
Wow.
I don't think he is.
Not at all.
I think he just had a lot of stats. I think he played for a long time. He threw the ball a lot. He has statistics. So he doesn't have a signature win that I can think of. He has no.
He didn't have a signature win. That dude came out there and played the playoffs with a broken leg.
He did, but he lost that game.
They lost, but he's a trooper.
He played, but they lost. He actually made his running back look bad in that game. Because he out there playing, the running back sitting on the sideline with his helmet on counting. All right. So we got.
Hold on. Big Red says Phil Rivers is the Antoine Jameson of the NFL. Stacking power. He was never the best player in his team when they were.
That's probably true.
Yeah. So Big Red said that means it's lost, so I win.
Whatever.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame.
He'll make it to the Hall of Fame.
He's the classic quarterback that goes into the Hall of Fame.
You're probably right. I mean, I could see it doing it, but it just doesn't. I don't know.
You can't say this about Rivers. You can't say that he held San Diego back.
The last couple of years you can.
Maybe the last
couple of years of him you can.
Maybe, but earlier in his career.
Y'all remember at the beginning of this year, what were we talking about Philip Rivers doing with
how many picks he throws?
Throwing picks, yeah.
He wasn't always like that, though.
He wasn't, but the last couple of years, he had gained that notoriety, and that's what we were anticipating this year, too.
But he didn't really do that this year.
He did. He actually had a great season.
He had 24 TDs, 11 interceptions, 41-69.
Yeah, he had a really good season. I was really shocked.
Yeah,
all right, so since we're talking about, go ahead.
I think he gets in. So
yeah. So the other hot topic that we're gonna go on, since we're talking about old quarterbacks in that league, there are 2 that had questionable playoff appearances. Ben Roethlisberger and just recently Drew Brees. Not actually the same player we've become accustomed to. So what do you think, fellas? Is it time for them two to definitely hang it up with Phillip Rivers, or should they come back next year and give it another go? We'll start off with Marcus.
You want me to comment on both of them, or just one of them? You said because
Yeah, either one.
Okay, so I'm gonna say Breeze, simply because I think he's ready. I think if you caught him at the end of that game on the weekend, he was looking around, he waved. I think that was his saying goodbye. He already has a broadcasting job lined up. I mean, I still think the Saints are still a good team. I don't think the window is shut, but they just have some bad playoff luck in the last couple of years. If I was him, I probably would try one more year. But if anybody's going to, I would say he'll retire. Roethlisberger, I don't think he should retire just yet, and this is why. And as much as I love Mike Tomlin, I think if Roethlisberger right now is the only, and it's not even that big of a crowning jewel because he's getting old and he's getting worn out. I haven't seen a quarterback plan in place for the Steelers. And I feel as though if Roethlisberger retires, Steelers might be garbage. And even though Steelers aren't known for letting go of coaches, that 1 or 2 bad seasons, or that might be the end of Tomlin. So I think Roethlisberger should play one more year, and they get a quarterback plan in place, which I don't know why they already haven't. It's obvious. I mean, as much as Ben has talked about retiring, there should already be a quarterback plan in place, and they just don't have. Where they picking in the draft this year? Mark, do you know?
Somewhere
20th,
in the 20s.
20th.
Yeah, because they get first round. First round out of the playoffs.
I mean, and anybody should know, especially when your franchise star quarterback of so many years leaves. Those years after can be terrible. I mean, ask Bill Belichick. So I would say don't retire Ben. Give Tomlin a chance to get a quarterback plan together, which I don't know why he hasn't already. But I would say don't retire Breeze, don't retire Roethlisberger.
Did you guys see the tweet that Drew Brees' wife had put out that he was playing with a torn rotator cuff?
No.
And it was something else. He had another injury. I think it was a toe or and leg injury. Apparently, he had been playing injured all season long.
Most people do. Most players do.
Yeah, but I mean, you're a quarterback. And your shoulder.
Yeah, that's huge.
Plus, I think it came back too soon. I mean, how many ribs he break? And
all of them. He broke them all.
Yeah, that was amazing for him to come back that early, that soon. Yeah,
he wasn't recovered.
He wasn't even close. They were shooting him up with all kinds of medication.
Herman, how do you feel about the situation? Should they both retire?
Yeah, I think like Marcus said, Drew Brees mentally is pretty much checked out. I think, so he should definitely retire. The funny thing to me, I think physically, if I had to pick between the two, I would say that Ben should retire and Drew should probably stay because he's been relatively healthy his entire career, as opposed to Roethlisberger, who's always had some type of something banged up or nicked up.
Remember he had the surgery when he left San Diego.
Well, yeah. Besides that,
good. Yeah.
After that, I mean, that was a freakish thing that happened anyway. But Ben's always. I mean, can you name a year when Ben wasn't hurt? Like seriously,
maybe the first year.
His rookie year.
Yeah. So I think they both should retire. I think Drew should retire because he's mentally checked out. And once you go there in football, it's you're done. And for Roethlisberger, like Marcus said, they should have had a succession plan in place. But I don't agree that if you take Ben off the Steelers, they're just going to be complete trash. And I say that because what was it? What they
8-8. They went 8-8 last year.
8-8 without him.
Before.
And then this year, they went 11-5.
Yep,
11-5. So
12-4.
So yeah, I think that they need to be packaging something together to go get Deshaun. That's what they need to do. You heard that here first on Delay a Game. So yeah, I think they both should retire.
I mean, there's a lot of contenders in there for Deshaun right now. The 49ers is probably the best bet, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right, Herman. I'm on the side of both. Go ahead and calling it quits. Over two great careers. I mean, both of them Hall of Famers. No question asked. They too, those two definitely go in first ballot Hall of Famers. Am I boring you, Marcus? You okay? Yeah, okay. So, my biggest sticking point again with Breeze is and we've seen it the last couple of years. Breeze has not been the Breeze of old. I mean, this last playoff game you saw, the Bucks basically just crowded the receivers and they wouldn't let them go deep because they knew Breeze wasn't going deep. So they just ran hugged up on the routes. That's why he threw 3 or 4 picks in that game.
Yeah.
So it was just a bad. He really has just been relying on Michael Thomas. That's how Michael Thomas got all those catches and Kamara out the backfield. But he really hasn't been going deep, much at all. So it did look like at the end of the season he was done. He's looking back. He's playing on the field with his kids. I don't know if y'all saw this, but Brady came out there and played with him for a little while.
Yeah.
It just seemed like I'm going. This is my last time. I just want to enjoy it. With Roethlisberger, I mean, again, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. They still have a great defense. There's free agency. They can get a quarterback. If they can't get one in the draft, they can get one.
You say it like it's nothing.
There are going to be a lot of free agents out there. They're going to get somebody that can play. And Mason Rudolph, I'm assuming, was their go-to if Ben couldn't make it. So we'll just have to see how that goes. So far, it's not that good. Oh, that's true. That's true. So when it's all said and done, I think they both had great careers. I think they have no shame in their games. The last two things are bitter, but I definitely don't see Breeze want to go through that grind again. And I don't know if Roethlisberger is ready for it either. He was on the sideline with tears in his eyes and had like the worst game I've ever seen him play in my life. So
plus they're changing OCs.
Yeah. So this actually would probably be a good time for the Steelers to get that in there because they still got that defense to rely on. Mm-hmm. They need to get that running game going. If they get that running game going again, they'll be the Steelers of old. All right, Mark, I left you last on purpose, so go ahead.
Yeah, as far as Breeze was concerned, we already knew that he had signed up for a gig to when he retired.
I'm sorry. Joe got jokes. He over here talking about RG3 and Haskins.
No chance. Neither one of them. We knew Breeze was checking himself out because he was getting himself ready for, after football, and he had a great career. After getting to the Super Bowl and winning it, it's been a tough struggle for them getting back there. I think it's safe to say. It was time for him to go. Ben, the last game Ben played, he threw for 500 yards. That's just not that's not just the Steelers' way of really doing it. Really, what it hadn't been, should I say? Marcus, you're right. I think Ben being there actually still saves Mike Tomlin's job, or put him in good grace with a lot of the fans because of Ben. Because he can still win some games for him. Mason Rudolph is not the future for the Steelers. They don't have a successor for Ben right now. They just released him, but no, they just released him.
Why they wait so long?
Duck Hodges is not the man. So going into this year, it's a chance they might pull out something as far as free agency. We see what comes out with the Jets with Donaldson, and just like
did you say Donaldson?
Yeah,
Donald. He meant Donald.
I know who he meant. I'm just
Sam Donald. Yeah,
you might as well keep Ben.
What about Stafford?
Yes,
Stafford would be good. Is Stafford from Pittsburgh or no?
I don't think he's from Pittsburgh now.
Okay.
Stafford kind of seemed to be put me in the same mindset with Ben, to be honest with you.
He get hurt all the time.
Yes.
That's true.
But then again, the Steelers got to get back to their old ways, running the ball and playing good defense. That's what they have to get back to. And with Ben, I don't think you don't have it right now. So I think I would have to say I think it will be time. I think it's time for both of them to go ahead and hang it up, based on that. So I'm gonna have to agree with both of them being retired.
You don't attribute the downfall at the end of the season for the Steelers to Ben, do you though?
No, it was a collective. It was injuries. It was
No run
not being
game.
able to run the ball.
Yeah, a lot of injuries on defense. A lot of
I
injuries
mean,
on defense.
it was a collective thing. It was a ton of things, man. Showboating and dancing prematurely. All that played a part in it.
They lack leadership in that locker room. They really do.
In some sense, yes. But they got veterans in there as well as young guys, and I mean I think they did okay for the most part. But yeah, some of that stuff you gotta have that stuff toned down. You have to. You got to.
So Big Red, she said that the Steelers should try to go after Winston, but I
think the Saints ain't gonna.
Yeah, I agree too. I think that's their succession plan. I don't think Taysom Hill is their succession plan.
Yeah. Well, they offered him more money in the beginning before he went down to the Saints. So I don't think he wants to. I think he still wants to stay there and learn from Sean Payton.
Now I think it would be a good fit because if they get their run game going and they relied on their run game, and that way Winston doesn't have to do so much. So
that's just it. I mean, you better have a run. You better have that run game in place because you don't want Winston throwing the ball a whole bunch. Here's another thing. Listen to this. Out of our division, you got Lamar Jackson, you got Baker Mayfield, and you got the boy Burrows. You got 3 young, talented quarterbacks. They better start to find a way. They better find a way. All Heisman Trophy winners too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They better.
All right. So we're going to now progress over to the games of last week, talk about who we picked and have a quick conversation on those 4 games. First game we're going to talk about was the Saturday game. It was the Rams against the Packers. With not 100% Aaron Donald, Aaron Rodgers and the Packers continued their offensive onslaught, putting up 484 offensive yards on the number 1 Rams defense. The Packers scored on their first 5 drives and actually only punted twice in the whole game. With the win, the Packers have tied the Steelers with 36 postseason wins. Herman, who did you pick in this game?
Yeah, I went with the Packers on this one. The Rams just looked totally out of sorts in this game. This was a sleeper game, honestly. When you saw Donald wasn't 100%, you get to see this game was going to get out of hand pretty quickly, and it did. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he did what he does, what he always does. I mean, he only threw 2 touchdowns, but this game, Green Bay just dominated this game the whole way around. So I picked Green Bay, and I got this one right.
Yeah, Herman, I picked Green Bay with you just as well. Like you said, the game was kind of it was a little close until like halftime when the Rams got down there and finally got in the end zone. You thought they may have some momentum, but after that, it was just all Packers, and it was kind of sad to see Donald out there. I mean, he just wasn't getting no pass rush. I think they said they only played like 40% of the plays, but even the plays he wasn't really a factor. And it was amazing how that defense looks without him in there and how big a factor he is in their success. So I picked the Packers, and I picked that one right. Marcus, who did you pick?
I also picked the Packers. It was just like Herman said, it was a sleeper game. I don't know how many times this has happened, but most of the times, games I can remember, when the number 1 defense went against the number 1 offense, the number 1 defense usually prevails and usually dominate the game big time. That's definitely not what happened in this game. The Green Bay had 484 total yards compared to LA's 244. And they really got him in the rushing yards, 188 rushing yards compared to LA's 96. It just seemed like it was a mismatch. As I've said before, I thought the Rams was probably the most complete team all around in the NFL. They just weren't it on Saturday. It just they just couldn't stand up to what the Packers were putting up, and it's just it's amazing to see what the Packers and Aaron Rodgers are doing now with Matt LaFleur in there. I mean, it's the second conference championship in a row. This season will probably be an MVP season for Rodgers. It's like it was the right move getting rid of McCarthy and bringing Matt LaFleur in there. I mean, and everybody was talking about Jordan Love being drafted and was there turmoil between LaFleur and Rodgers, and they're on point. They're on point right now, and it was a good game.
Y'all feel like the like Jared Goff is taking a step back?
Well, he was
I
hurt.
say because he was playing injured.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, he was all season.
Yeah. He hasn't seemed to been the same quarterback since the running back left.
Todd
Gurley.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right, Mark. So since you're not wearing the hat, we can assume that you also went with Green Bay.
I took the Packers also. Green Bay marched up and down the field on them. Their running game was effective all the way through. Aaron Donald, his rib injury, you just saw him in tears. He felt like he let the whole team down. That was sad to see. But the Rams defense after that, I mean, they only built to stop the pass. And that's why that running game was so effective. That Alan Lazar dropped deep ball. They came back and flipped it on the other side, and you saw the safety because of the run set it all up. The safety just fell forward, and you just see him being aggressive. You see him; he just gave that play up because he was just being so aggressive. But yeah, I thought the Packers dominated, and I chose the Packers, man.
All right. So the other Saturday game was the Ravens and the Bills. This was the game we were all pretty excited about. We felt these two teams were pretty much mirror images of each other offensively and defensively. But what could go wrong did go wrong for the Ravens. Justin Tucker missed not one but two field goals. Lamar Jackson threw his first red zone interception after going 49-0 in that situation. And he was concussed near the end of the third quarter when a snap went over his head. And when he finally retrieved it, he was sacked and his head bounced off the ground. MVP candidate Josh did his job, throwing 23 of 37 for 206 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. But the Bills' defense stole the show, only allowing the Ravens 3 points. Mr. Marcus, who did you pick in this game and why?
I picked the Ravens. A lot of it was emotional pick, but they were as hot as the Bills going into the playoffs. But like you said, it was defense. The Bills' defense. They came out there and they shut the Ravens' offense down, and the Ravens' defense they played good, but you're not going to be able to keep a explosive offense like that down too much. The offense had to do something, score points. And it's gotten to the point, Lamar finally crossed his hurdles. He won his first playoff game and all that. But something has to change in Baltimore. They have to get him more developed throwing the ball. I mean, the way they run the ball is great and everything. But they've won a lot of games with Lamar in there. I think he's won like 80% of his games, which you can't complain about. But I don't think the way they're playing him, the way they're coaching him up, is going to get them a championship. They have to be able. He has to be able to throw the outside the line. It's just not working. I think Greg Roman needs to go. They need another somebody else in there. To if Eric Bieniemy doesn't get a head coaching job, he need to go ahead and be an OC for the Ravens because it's not working. I mean, it's working, but it's not working. As soon as you shut that run game down, when Lamar looks bad, he looks really bad, and he looked really bad on Saturday. And so it's Harbaugh has to do something. And my first thing would be get rid of Greg Roman and bring another OC in there to and hope they get a real offseason. If they get a real offseason this season, it'd be great because Lamar needs work. He needs work. I'm not blaming Lamar. I'm blaming the coaches, but he needs work. Period.
Mr. Parker, who did you pick in this game?
Yeah, I was drinking that purple Kool-Aid with Marcus. I chose the Ravens. Terrible. It tastes stale. It tastes stale and sour. That's what it tastes like.
It tastes like a loss.
You know, that first drive, and then he came out and missed a field goal. I'm like, oh, they in trouble.
Missed
Then he
two.
missed it again. I was like, oh, they really in trouble. But the Bills defense did exactly what they needed to do. They took away what the Ravens do the best. They took away their speed on their defense, and what overtook that. That pick six, the play right before that, the Bills had to call the blitz. He had Hollywood Brown streaking wide open in the end zone, going across the field. If he'd have had time, this game could have been 10-10 going into the halftime. But yet, Buffalo put the pressure on him. Defense with the speed made a big difference on it. But I chose the Ravens on this one, and like I said, and let me just, Marcus, you touched on something about Lamar Jackson. If you look at his stats and who he targeted, he really don't target the wide receivers as much as he should. He needs another true wide receiver that he can depend on. His most of the targets go either the running back or the tight end for the most part. He needs to find a number one wide receiver is what they need to find in Baltimore.
What's the name? Mark Andrews. He should have led the league in targets this year, but
yeah.
Yeah, in this game, I went with the Bills. I went with the hot team. I went with Bills Mafia. My two counterparts, they jumped off the bandwagon, a little too soon. And I forgive y'all. If y'all want to jab back on this week, we'll have a conversation later on. But Bills Mafia did what they had to do. Josh Allen got his thing going. Stephon Diggs had his thing going. And that defense was just when he got that interception in the end zone and ran it all the way back, I mean, that just tore the hearts out of the Ravens. So I picked the Bills on this one. I picked it right. Now we'll go to our resident Bills hater and ask him who he picked.
Hater.
So the Bills hater was smart enough to know, and he picked the Bills. Okay. Now let's get into this Ravens stuff, because Biggie, what you just said is 100%. The Ravens are just playing to whatever strength Lamar has. They're not developing him into being able to read a defense or to go through progressions consistently. Okay? They're not trying to do that because all they want to do is run the ball. And Buffalo basically sold out to stop Lamar. And what did the Ravens coaches do? They didn't do anything to adjust the game plan.
No halftime adjustments.
Nothing at all. They just left Lamar out there to hang. And I've been screaming this the last couple of weeks that all they're doing is playing off of his natural born talent, trying to win games, and they're not trying to develop him into a real true quarterback. And they're never going to get nowhere doing this. They're not going to get to the Super Bowl playing like this because you're going to always run into that one team that's a buzzsaw and can stop you. And then what are you going to do? I mean, not hating on Josh Allen, he didn't even do that much this game. He only threw for 206 yards and one touchdown. He had a 51 QBR, 86% passer rating.
And all that was in the second half.
And yeah, he wasn't the normal Josh Allen that we're used to seeing. So their defense was kind of doing their job. They held him down pretty good. When you think about it, they held Buffalo to 17 points. But when your offense is playing like trash and not doing anything, not moving the football, and you're not making adjustments, you're not going to win games like this. You had two teams that had good defenses or maybe even great defenses. And then you had a team that had a good offense and a team that has an offense that can't make adjustments. What did you say?
That's it right
there. That's it right there. That was the game plan. They didn't have to practice.
And the part about too is can he read defenses? If you watch that interception, obviously not, because he stared that receiver down the whole time, and the DB was just sitting there watching him the whole play.
He
looked at nobody else on that play.
But let's not forget, I think last year he led the league in passing touchdown. His MVP season.
Yeah. He was 49-0 in the red zone. That one right there, if you watch the replay, he never looked at any other receiver.
But you're taught this. You learn these things. You develop it over time, and you get better at it over time. Everybody knows that. You know what I mean? If you're not doing it, then you're not going to get better at it.
If you're a quarterback and you can't look off a safety and get him off that spot, you're not going to win.
No, you're not. So, and I don't blame Lamar so much as I blame more the coaching. They're just riding his natural talent right now. We're looking at the exact same thing, in my opinion, that happened with Cam. And it may be a shorter period for Lamar because Lamar can't keep getting hit.
Yeah, and one serious injury and his speed, he loses some of his speed. His game is over.
Yeah. So,
and you know what's Herman? They also treat him like they did. Atlanta Falcons quarterback went to Philly.
Michael Vick.
Michael Vick.
Yeah.
They did how Atlanta treated Michael Vick. They basically just went off of his talent. You know, Vick was saying he didn't watch film and all that stuff. He didn't do none of that till he went to Philly.
Yeah, because the coaches ain't worried about it.
Yeah. They just go out there and run around, make plays.
Yeah.
I also like Herman said, they never do adjustments. They never adjust. Never. And another thing is, in order to be a consistently good team, you have to be able to beat teams in different ways. You can't depend on the run all the time. You can't depend on the pass. You can't depend on the deep pass. You can't depend on the short pass. You have to find different ways to beat teams. And right now, the Ravens only have one way to beat a team.
Yeah, and look, and we were talking about can Lamar read a defense? Okay, we've seen quarterbacks in the NFL that can't read defenses, and you know what the offensive coordinators do? They roll them to one side of the field and they read half the field.
Yep.
The Ravens ain't even doing that.
No,
it's ridiculous when you think about it. You sit back and look at what they're doing with this dude. They're not doing anything to develop this guy. Because if you can't read a whole field, hell, he can learn to read half the field, and then he can learn to read the other half. And then he can read a whole field. You know what I'm saying? But if you're not going to even try, you're just going to play off his natural talent, you don't even care. You're just going to try to win as many games as you possibly can, and you're not even trying to make the dude better. And again, Lamar, he has to put in the work too, but if your coaches don't require it, you can't. Ain't no point in studying stuff you're not doing in the game.
Yeah,
that is true.
And the sad thing is, all four of us, I would say, are Lamar fans.
I'm a huge Lamar fan. It pisses me off to see what they're doing to him.
I don't, you know, even though I play with the Ravens, I don't dislike him. I like seeing him play, you know, so I like to see him play.
Yeah.
All right, so now we're going to go to the two Sunday games. The first one was the Browns versus the Chiefs. This by far was the closest contest of the weekend. The Chiefs were up 19-3 at the half, and then things got interesting. In the third, Baker and the Browns had an 8-play, 77-yard drive to narrow the score 10-19. KC added a field goal, and then in the fourth, Mahomes was tackled and suffered an injury, which put him out the game. The Browns got another TD, but that was the closest that they would get. The Chiefs defense stepped up and made the Browns punt, and the offense made enough plays to run out the clock. In this particular game, I think we all picked the same. I picked the Chiefs. Herman, who did you pick?
Of course, I picked the Chiefs. I mean, I've been on the Browns bandwagon all year, but yeah, I went with the Chiefs on this one. They kind of turned the switch on like everybody said they couldn't do. You know, even though the Browns they stayed in the game. I think if Mahomes doesn't go out, the cushion's probably a little bit bigger for the Chiefs. I mean, you look at it, the Chiefs, they didn't even score in the fourth quarter. So it was a good game. Like you said, it was the closest game. I felt like it was the most exciting game. It kept you on edge, but I did pick the Chiefs. I picked them to go all the way, you know, to the AFC Championship. So at least I picked that half right.
Mark.
Yeah, I took the Chiefs also. The Chiefs should have blew this game away early. They settled for a lot of field goals early in this game. They were driving downfield and they was just moving the ball, but they ended up settling for field goals. But touching on that 18-play, 75-yard drive, the Browns did exactly. They put themselves in position to be 5 points down in the fourth quarter. They put themselves in excellent position to take the lead of this game, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't pull it out. So the Chiefs did it. Do you guys think that tackle to Mahomes was that dirty?
Nah,
No.
It was just football.
I think because of their body, the momentum.
I guess.
Well, their bodies was going different directions.
He never grabbed the back of the helmet or anything. I mean,
yeah.
No, but he did have him in like a chokehold.
But you
I
know
don't
what?
think there was nothing wrong with it. I don't
think it
I don't
was.
think it was wrong.
And if you really look at if you really go back and look at the replay, I'm still trying to figure out how he got the concussion because he never hit his head.
His head hit.
Yes,
His head hit the ground.
No, it
His
did
head
not.
just fell forward and hit the ground.
It did not. If you go back, I'm telling you, go back and watch the replay. It looks like it from one angle, but when they switch to the other angle, his head hit the front of his head never hit the ground. The front of his
What
head
game was he watching? I thought
I'm
his head
trying
hit
to
the
tell you,
ground.
go back and watch the replay.
Well, I gotta go look back. I go back and look at it, but I know the way he got up.
Oh, he was
drunk.
He was drunk.
With him.
Now the dude on Channel 5, the little short muscle bound guy that does MMA stuff too, he trying to say that he got like choked out because of the way he was janked around.
And that's what they're saying. But that's
they're saying he kind of got choked out, not necessarily a concussion.
If you go look at the replay, I'm telling y'all, I thought he hit his head on the ground on too. He didn't hit his head on the ground.
Maybe did get
one other thing. After the game, he also, you see the tweet he put out, hashtag anything is possible. Anything is possible. I thought it was slick.
That's it, Jay Glazer. Thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like almost like he got the rear naked choke.
Did y'all see? You know, I remember we were talking about you. Like he ran off the field. Did you see him running down the stairs?
I didn't see him run down.
He like ran down the stairs and like ran to kind of hit the wall and then kept running. He was still a little woozy.
I think the toe injury is worried him more so than the concussion. That's for sure.
Maybe. I mean, that could definitely play a role, but
let's see.
Y'all got me off track. Who didn't talk yet? Marcus. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, of course I picked the Chiefs, but I have to admit that was a lot closer game than I was expecting. The Browns looked really good in that game.
In the second half.
Yeah, in the second half. Looked really good. I was completely shocked the way that 18-play drive, the way they were walking down that field. Usually plays drives that long. Usually there's a mess up somewhere. It's a couple of penalties, possibly a turnover, but they went down there and they scored. And but I got to give it to Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. They didn't listen to Herman this week, and they went for it on fourth down, and that job paid off like a month.
Twice.
Andy
Reid,
I mean, paid off. I mean, Henry, he came. He saved the day. He saved the day. He did enough to win that game. And basically, what you asked for, backup quarterback, is just don't lose the game. Yep, they had the lead, just maintain the lead, and just don't lose the game. And they pulled it off. To me that was the best game all weekend. I thought it was a great game. And
it definitely was.
I agree with you with that. That was the one that you had your hand in your throat. You had no idea what was going to happen.
And I'll also say this. So, last year, everybody was saying, the Chiefs are going to dominate for the next 10 years and a couple more Super Bowls. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC right now. It might not be so dominant as we think they might be.
That's true.
They are, but they all ain't got Andy Reid, man. That dude is ridiculous. All right, so everybody talk.
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
All right, so we'll finish up with the last game of the playoff of the weekend, and that was Sunday with the Bucks and the Saints. Excuse me. This game was close until the fourth quarter, but one QB progressed and another regressed. The Saints turned the ball over 3 times in the third quarter and scored 0 points in the fourth. The Bucks scored 10 points and didn't turn the ball over at all. In the end, the Bucks move on, winning 30-20. I lost. You know, I got the score. 30-20. 30-20.
30-20. Yeah.
In this game, I actually picked wrong. I picked the Saints. I thought that the Saints were going to be able to, get enough offense on the board, and I did not expect Drew Brees to throw, and a lot of few of those picks were ugly picks. I mean, just terrible picks. But Brady and them, they did a good job. I mean, they had a nice game plan. That defense really came to play. The linebacker White was all over the field. Every time he turned around, he was involved in the play. I mean, he was just phenomenal that game. So, I mean, much props to the Buccaneers. Saints, you gonna have to probably start over with a new QB next year. But I picked the Saints. I picked this one wrong. Mark, who did you pick?
I chose the Saints just like you did, man. New Orleans was up 20. I'm sorry, the Bucks were up 2013, and the Bucks was in the territory, and they I'm sorry, New Orleans had the ball. It was in Bucks territory, and they had that fumble with Jared Cook, and that basically turned everything around from there.
Yeah.
They got the ball, and that was it. That's all she wrote. And you're absolutely right. White was sideline to sideline. Every time he turned around, 45 was in the heat of it, and he was laying the wood. The Saints, but I kind of like I said earlier, I kind of had the Bucks maybe going a little bit further, but I thought the Saints would be able to pull this one out, and they didn't. So I lost this one.
So in the AFC, you picked the Ravens because you picked them earlier, and you stuck with that. In the NFC, you said, "Oh, who cares about that?"
I wasn't feeling Brady going in this game. That's why. But he proved me wrong. I wasn't feeling it.
Marcus, who did you pick?
Should have did him last.
No. You only go last when you wear the hat.
I'll pick the Bucks. After the Buccaneers, they went to the playoffs hot, and I keep always saying that team that goes in hot. They went in very hot. The Bucks start off slow this season, but they got it together at the end. I think if they would have had a real offseason, real training camp, I think they might have had maybe had a number one seed in the NFC. Brady looks like the Brady did back in the Patriots. I mean, they just walked up and down that field, and actually he didn't go for that much. He only did for 18 or 33 for 199 yards, 2 touchdowns, but they moved. They just moved that ball and did what they had to do. And then also the reason I picked the Bucks is because the Saints just had some bad playoff luck last couple of years. They've just not been able to pull it off. That miracle in Minnesota, that pass interference call, it wasn't a pass interference call. So that's why I picked the Bucks. And it's Tom Brady. And I said years ago when he was with the Patriots, I'd never pick against Tom Brady. So I wasn't going to pick against him this time either.
Herman,
what's wrong, Brian? We boring you?
Hey, look, don't throw my jokes back at me. Next time I'll do like this.
Yeah, I picked the Saints on this one. I got this one wrong. Drew Brees I did not expect to see that. He threw what?
134 yards, something like that.
3 interceptions, and then Michael Thomas had no receptions. I think in this game.
Nope.
Yeah, Michael Thomas had 0 receptions in this game.
Yeah.
They never gonna win like that. He had to have I think he had to have surgery on both his knees too. At the Thomas, I think he's having surgery on both his knees. I think I saw something about that. But the Bucks, their defense stepped up. This is gonna be a good game coming up this week. I'm looking forward to this week's game. But I picked the Saints and I got that one wrong.
All right, so we're going to talk about the next two, and the next one we're going to talk about is the Buccaneers versus the Saints. We got the number 5.
Buccaneers versus the Packers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, versus the Packers. Sorry. The number 5 team versus the number 1 seed. Vegas is giving up 3 points. So, Mr. Triplet, who do you like in this one?
Well as the Bucks played last week, and even though the Bucks have Tom Brady, it's Aaron Rodgers at home. It's Aaron Rodgers at home in the championship game. I'm going with the Packers.
Yeah, I'm with you, Herman. It's Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers MVP. I mean, that offense just seems like it can't be stopped. Can anybody stop Devontae? I mean, really, he's just all over the place. I mean, the best corner in the league was on him last game, and I think he caught like 9 balls. Caught the touchdown, was frustrating them left and right. So, I mean, who can stop them? I mean, the Bucks had a great year, but I think the Buck stops here. I'm going with the Packers. Marcus, who you got?
This is a hard one to pick. I really would like to see Rodgers go to the Super Bowl, but I'm going with the Old Faithful. I'm going with Brady. I'm back to not betting against Brady. This should be a good game. And I know it's a home game for Rodgers, but Brady used to playing in the cold. He used to play in the sun.
Just Brady.
Yeah, yeah.
But and Brock too.
And really, is Brady that good? I mean, do we have to bring back, what is it doing with the Raiders? Tuck rule.
Grooming.
No, but I'm picking the Bucks. I'm picking the Bucks to win this game. And Brady goes to Super Bowl.
Marcus lone wolfing.
This game. If the Bucks pull this out in this game, if the Bucks pull this out, they'd be the first team to host the Super Bowl in their backyard.
I forgot about that.
They sure will.
Wow.
They sure will.
You know what? I think I'm gonna take my pick back.
The Bucks are coming back with defensive lineman Vita Veda. He's coming back. Man, this is coming off a year of pandemic. Man, if Marcus, you gonna lone wolf this one. I'm taking the Packers. I'm taking the Packers. I don't see him going in Green Bay beating them. I don't.
Yeah, me shocked, Mark. I had no idea what you were going with that one. When he threw Vita Veda, I was like, he's gonna pick them too. All right, so we shall see. And the truth be told, my heart is with the Buccaneers. I do not like Packers.
What?
But it's great. If it was any other quarterback besides Brady, I'd be pulling for the Bucks. But I don't want either one to be there.
I really don't like Rodgers. So he's ruined too many of my seasons. I can't stand that dude. Can't stand you.
And look, you would think that I'd be saying the same thing about Rodgers, right? But I feel that way about Brady. I really don't want to see him get another championship.
Yeah, because Brady has ruined many of your seasons. So I understand that,
Exactly.
Even though Rodgers took one Super Bowl from him.
Yeah, but that's okay though. I'm all right with that one.
Okay. That was just one though. Brady took a lot more Super Bowls.
Right. Yeah. That's true.
All right. So the last game we're going to talk about is the number 2 Bills versus the number 1 Chiefs. Again, this is just a 3-point game that the Chiefs are giving up. Does Patrick Mahomes start, or does anything possible get the cut? Mr. Parker, who do you like in this one?
Here we go back to Holmes. I think the toe injury bothers him more than having a concussion, to be honest with you, because he won't be able to run as effectively as he normally does. Won't be able to plan it. I've been saying this all season long. I think the road to the championship goes through the Chiefs. I'm gonna take the Chiefs in this one. I think the Chiefs will make it back to that second straight Super Bowl. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Herman.
All right. So all year long, I've been hating on Josh Allen and Buffalo Mafia and all that crap. Once they got into the playoffs, though, for real, Buffalo has definitely impressed me. Their defense is on point.
Wait, we're about to get bamboozled. Go ahead.
You got, with the Chiefs, we don't know if Patrick Mahomes is playing or not. I can't believe I'm getting ready to do this, but I'm still taking the Chiefs, baby.
I knew you wasn't going to do it. I knew you wasn't going to do it.
Give me the Chiefs.
Marcus.
You already know. I got to go with Mahomes and the Chiefs. There's no way I'm picking. There's no way I'm picking against the Chiefs. This is contingent on if Mahomes plays or not.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You better pick it.
I mean, it's the pick stands, but I'm just saying. Okay. If they say Mahomes ain't playing, I'm like, damn it, they're gonna lose this game. It's a home game. As much props as Sean McDermott gets for turning that team around and getting them to a conference championship after 20 some years. It'll be a good game. I just don't think they're a match for the Chiefs. Even if Mahomes is even at 80-70%, I still think they can pull this game out. They just got too much talent on offense. They got Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy calling plays. Only thing I'm worried about is the Chiefs defense. Chiefs defense really needs to step up and clamp this thing down. And also, the Chiefs need to get a lead early, like they did in that in the who they just played in the Browns game, and maintain
hold on to it
and hold on to it. They can't. I don't think they can, especially with Mahomes not being 100%. They can't do like they did last year in the playoffs and let teams get up 20 some points in them. They can't do that. They have to play consistent and all the way through and pull this thing out. But I'm definitely picking the Chiefs.
Brian.
Oh, you really, Brian?
Yeah, you know, wolf on that.
Bills Mafia, baby. Bills Mafia. Y'all had a good season, but it's over. The Chiefs don't win. I'm going with the Chiefs.
I knew he was going to do that. I knew
Chiefs are going to walk away with this one, you know. Barring again, Marcus. I mean, it'll be a lot more interesting if Chad Henne has to play and Mahomes doesn't. But even then, I think Andy Reid is just and Bieniemy are just offensive ridiculous. I mean, they just come up with the craziest plays that don't even make sense, you know. And you know, I forgot to say this too when we were talking about the Saints game. Y'all saw the play where
Jameis
Winston came in, and threw that touchdown.
Yeah.
Do you know he stole that play from the playoff game the week before against Chicago?
Yep, Chicago did
Chicago.
it.
That's what they ran.
And he missed on the end, and he took that play and put it in and got a touchdown.
Yeah.
I thought that was ingenious. So we got a lot of smart offensive coordinators in here. Mm-hmm. But Andy Reid is the cream of the crop. And then again, I agree with you guys. We started with the Chiefs. I think we're going to end it with the Chiefs. All right. So do we have time to go over it? Because I did forget to talk about predictions. Yeah. Or do we want to just let that go?
You can just say it for right now.
Read it out real quick. I mean, it's only 9:07.
You have it up, Herman?
I can pull it up real quick.
I got it up. What are we playing? Right. The NFC West?
Yeah.
Where's the championship?
Here we go. So we had the NFC Championship game. Herman had the Cowboys and the Vikings. Marcus,
Marcus. Which one?
The sound effects.
Yeah.
Mark had the Bucks and the 49ers.
He was halfway right.
I had the Cowboys and the 49ers.
Oh my God!
Why is that? Might be worse than Herman. And then,
no, you had the 49ers. Herman had the Vikings.
Yeah, but still, I think the Vikings they didn't make the playoffs. But and Marcus had Seattle and the Saints.
Oh my God!
Seattle.
Yeah. The AFC Championship.
All of us had the same thing.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. Yeah, we all had the Chiefs. I was looking for it. We all had the Chiefs versus Baltimore. So we all got half of that right. So we'll try better next year. But we got two more games coming up Sunday, and then we got the Super Bowl. So the season is winding down. It's getting bittersweet, but hey, we made it through a COVID season, and let's just enjoy these last couple games. We'll have a couple final words, and then we'll let Marcus take us out of here. I guess Mark or Herman, whichever one of y'all got your final.
I can start it out first.
Okay.
All right. Today is a historic day. The inaugural presidential. We've had the first female vice president of South Asian descent to take that office.
Yeah, she's black, South Asian.
This is monumental. This is fantastic. And on top of that, she's a Howard graduate student. That was fantastic. I applaud that. I'm happy about it. We making some strides here, y'all, and I hope we continue on making strides. I hope they put us in a much better position than we were coming out of the last presidency. We don't need to get into that one, but hopefully some things are going to start moving forward. So I'm happy about that.
Herman, you ready?
Yeah, I just piggyback off of what he said today. It's a historical day. It'll be nice to just get back to some normalcy. in our government and in our in society. Period.
True.
Also, want to have a big shout out, thank you to Brian, who's going to be supplying me my bottle this weekend.
What was the reason behind that bet?
This side, we got me and Herman have a bet that I bet that Mahomes doesn't play this week because of the concussion, and Herman says he'll play. So more than likely, I'm going to owe Herman a bottle of Patron.
I mean, you can give me the 1800. It's fine.
I didn't know there was.
Yeah. So, but be safe. Still mask up. Everybody enjoy the games this weekend, and we appreciate y'all watching as always.
Yeah, I want to just take a quick moment and give a shout out to my older sister, Christy, whose birthday is today.
Happy birthday, Christy.
Happy birthday, Christy. Many, many more. If you were a friend on Facebook, you would have seen it. Or maybe not. Maybe not. It might not be on there now that I think about it. But yeah, it is her birthday. So happy birthday, Christy. Marcus.
To be honest, I really got nothing. I just be safe. Don't forget, we're still in the pandemic. Really looking forward.
Like Joe said, wash hands, wash hands, wash hands.
Yeah. Really looking forward to these games this weekend. Hopefully we'll have some more history being made. Second time black quarterback goes to first time black quarterback goes to back-to-back Super Bowls. Wait a minute. Did the Seattle go to back-to-back Super Bowl?
No. Seattle did. They went back.
Yeah, they did. They did. Yeah.
All right, never mind.
1-1 lost one.
Skip over that. So we'll see you next week. Be sure you check. We're on Facebook group to Live Game. We're on Twitter at the Live Game 3. We're also on Instagram at the official Live Game. And of course, if you watch us on YouTube, you already know we're on YouTube. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Peace. We out.
Peace.